Hi everybody, Martin Möller here. I recently posted a few photos on social media about this tree in the background, which is a Manuka. And a whole lot of people asked me and wrote some comments about how I am taking a plant that I'm buying in the nursery for 10 or 20 bucks to this kind of tree, which is, it's only about kind of, I think it's the third year now out of a nursery material. And yeah, I was going to talk about Manukas and Kanukas in general for a bit, give you my insights why I think they're such a fantastic and worthwhile species for bonsai, and also talk a bit about the challenges, because there are a few things that are worth knowing to kind of keep them healthy and happy. All right, let's dive right into it. Both Manukas and Kanukas, so the Kanuka on the left, the Manuka on the right, are native to New Zealand as well as Australia and Caledonia, I think, as well. New Caledonia. They are in the tea tree family, and they, I think from memory, they have about there are about 30 different varieties of each around. Apparently all of them flower. However, some of mine have not flowered yet. And this one is just, as you can see, it's got a few flowers on it, but it's just about to come out with a whole new set of flowers. It's got so many flowers on it, it's just crazy. They're very hard to tell apart, and I believe the easiest way from the leaves is usually that the leaves of the Kanuka here, they are just a little bit rounder. They're still both kind of blade-like, but these are a bit more roundish and also softer to touch. Whereas the Manuka, they are just a bit spikier, and so not just spikier as far as the shape is concerned, but also a bit spikier to the touch. Yeah, also a lot of people say, and it's probably true, that the Kanuka flowers, it's probably the easiest to tell them apart when they flower, because the Kanuka flowers are a lot smaller than the Manuka flowers. But yeah, while that's true most of the time, I also have Kanukas which are the same size as the Manukas, and you can't really tell a difference. In the wild, Manukas grow more like a shrub, usually, and probably about 10 meters high, usually not even that high. And Kanukas grow more like a tree, and to kind of, I think about maximum of 20 meters high. This is the oldest Manuka tree in my collection. It's about 25 years old, roughly. And yeah, what do I think makes them suitable for bonsai? I think the best thing about it is that they are readily available in any nursery pretty much around New Zealand, and I'm pretty sure Australia it's the same. Hence, they're very cheap to purchase. You can usually just pick them up for, yeah, I mean $10 or sometimes 20, depends where you go. They have a very, very small, hence suitable leaf size for bonsai. I mean, the leaves are crazily small. These ones have reduced quite a bit over the years, just because the tree is so old. It's probably, they are probably less than a centimeter long. It's usually the bark as well, which I think is fantastic. I mean, on this tree, it's really nice, old and flaky, but even on the younger ones, even if they're only just 2 or 3 years old, they get this really awesome, craggy, flaky bark that falls off sometimes, but is easily grows back and is that kind of flaky a year later, really. They're easily pruned and wired. They don't mind pruning, even hard pruning back. They're not too sensitive to that at all, and grow back easily. I mean, they are known for not back budding very well, but if you cut them back very hard, they will send out new shoots. That's my experience. And they're relatively pest resistant. I mean, nothing really seems to eat the leaves. No caterpillars, no aphids I have had, and I've had them for, this is the only tree that I purchased. All the other ones, and I've got about 15 of them, I've kind of grown from nursery stock. And yeah, nothing really gets them. The only thing that I've had problems with in the past is scale insects, exactly. So scale insects, there's these little dots, white dots that you see sometimes on the branches, and they suck the sap. And what you can do about it is, I found, I mean, you have to spray it, and they're very hard to get rid of. I found there's a product called Groventine that works really well. You have to do it multiple times. It doesn't seem to affect the tree in any negative way. But also what you really have to do is get rid of the ants. So the ants form a symbiotic relationship with them, that they kind of eat the honeydew that the scale insects excrete. And once you get rid of the ants, then they usually go away as well again. Otherwise, if you only spray it, then they just, a couple of them die, a couple of them survive, and then they just come back rampantly, and it's not so easy to get rid of them. Challenges. I mean, the biggest challenge probably is the root pruning, and I'm just going to show you later in the video what I'm doing about that. The watering is a problem. It can be a problem. They like to be on the wetter side, so the soil can never really dry out. If it dries out, then the tree will die like within, I mean, sometimes half a day is too much. I've had that problem with one or two trees. It is really, really easy to kill them, whereas other species like pines or junipers, they don't mind being a bit drier, but Manukas and Kanukas certainly can't dry out completely. The branches are not that flexible, so sometimes they snap easily. So bending really is advisable earlier when you wanna give the tree shape, and don't let the branches lignify too badly, because then they are really easily bendable. And also, what makes a difference, I find, is if you wait for the right time of the year. So when they're just sending out all the sap into the leaves from the root. And that's usually multiple times a year. Whenever they send out new shoots, they are usually way more flexible as waiting. So wait for that time, and as I said, it's like that multiple times a year with the Manukas. And Kanukas, and that's another really positive thing. They don't have a particular growth season. They just seem to kind of grow all year round, and sometimes they send out leaves and flowers in the middle of winter. Usually the times when they grow most vigorously is kind of end of summer and beginning of autumn, I find. Depends on the species as well, but it's usually here in New Zealand. So I'm in Auckland. It's kind of end of February to April, that kind of time of the year. Yeah, and I think those are really the biggest ups and downs with that tree. I find them extremely positive and find them really good to work with. And once you are on top of those issues that they might have, they are really rewarding to work with. So what I usually do with these trees is that I identify a front, and I think it's always important, first of all, to just buy one that already has some nice characters as opposed to just a straight stick. This one I bought just because it has this nice kind of almost like a double trunk. So what I do is I kind of identify roughly what I want to do and wire only the branches that really need wiring. So when I say that, I mean, as I said before, once they lignify, they're usually hard to bend and they snap easily. So I think for this one I would probably give this main trunk a little wire, cut it off at this point where it has a bit of reverse taper, and the bigger part of the trunk is kind of I might just take off because it's kind of, it hasn't got much taper from here on. So I think there's a lot material at the back here that I can work with, but these are so flexible that, and I'll still be able to wire those next year. So I think just that one, as I said, and then just this one is at a point. I mean, it's got a nice movement already. It's kind of coming up, and then it's kind of coming towards you, and then it's got another change of direction. So I might just cut that short, give it a little wire so that it's got some movement, but then kind of just leave it as that. So I might just, as a first thing, cut off this branch, or this main trunk here. And then roughly to shape this one as well. Might just leave that a bit longer than the main trunk. This one at the back can be a bit shorter as well. And then I might just take a piece of wire. Kind of thread it through here, poke it in there so that it's nicely anchored, and then I'm just going to go up roughly on a kind of 30 or 45-degree angle, whatever works with the branches. And once I've done that, it's probably even longer than it needs to be, but doesn't really matter because I'm not fully styling this one. The other one can have a slightly thinner wire. This was a 3mm wire. Now I'm just going to go to the 2mm wire, because that's a thinner branch. Do the same thing again. Start from here. Kind of go up the trunk. Sorry, the branch. Make sure that I don't get the branches caught under the wire, and that's pretty much it with the wiring. Now I'm just kind of try to give this one a bit of a bend to give it more interest. It's not too bad. Can still bend a bit. It's actually more flexible than I thought it would be. And always try to overemphasize the bend if possible, because once they age, that kind of comes out again. So this one, I mean, really trying to emphasize and work with the characteristics of the tree. That's always my strategy, not to get them into anything they don't want to do. The back one might just take that off, because there's also hardly any taper on it, and there is another branch here that can take over the function of that one. And whereas that might not look very pretty at the moment, it doesn't bother me too much. As I said, it's just the main reason that I'm doing this is just to get some kind of movement in the branches. And what I'm doing now is the root pruning, which is the interesting part. So what I do there is, instead of just teasing out the roots with a kind of root rake, Manukas and Kanukas absolutely hate having their roots tinkered with. So I'm just using a saw and basically just never take more than a quarter off. They don't mind it at the top a bit, to kind of tease out the roots a bit more. And over the years, taking root mass off and getting it into a shallower dish, that's kind of the goal here. So I would never take more than kind of 25% of the root mass off, so like just a quarter of this. So I basically just go half, quarter, and then I take a saw and basically literally just saw it off straight through. And I have had lots of success with that. So I have, as I said, I have about 15 or something like that, and I have done that to all of them, listening to other people saying how sensitive they are to root pruning. That was kind of my goal, to kind of keep them alive, and I have not lost a single one, so that has been super successful. So now, just to kind of keep it at that height, I just basically put a bit of soil mix, and I use literally just a bit of potting mix, mixed with some hummus, just for a bit of aeration really. And then I place it in there. Put some soil around it. And kind of stuff it in there a bit, not too tight. Make sure that it's got like soil everywhere around it. So what now happens is that the roots will have more room to kind of spread to the sides, and obviously don't have enough space to go down any further, and that allows the root system to kind of ease into the more horizontal direction. And over the years, so maybe in about 2 or 3 years, then I will be able to get it in a nice and shallow dish. And yeah, that's just something you have to wait and embrace. It's not as easy as with junipers or with pines that are a lot more flexible with that and can handle a lot more root pruning, as well as kind of teasing out roots. And yeah, but that's pretty much it. So this one is a Kanuka tree, and it's just exactly a year later than this tree. So I bought that a year earlier. It was pretty much the same size when I bought it as this one, and you can see the amount of growth that it's put on since. The trunk has already taken up the shape of the wire that I've taken off now, and it was basically straight, so I have just given it a kind of nice crazy shape, and we'll take it kind of to the next stage from here. Soon it'll be wired again, and I try to kind of form a few pads, and I think it's more like an upright tree than this one is going to be. Yeah, but you can just see how fast they grow really. This has put on about 25 to 30 centimeters just in the last 3 weeks, and as I said, they do that multiple times a year. So yeah, really fast growing, and really I find really easy to work with, apart from those few challenges that you have with root pruning and keeping them moist and not let the soil dry out completely. So I think that's it. So thank you very much for watching. Hope to see you in the next video. Please, if you like the content, subscribe and give us a like, and hit that notification button for more content to come up. I'll try to put out a few more videos like this for people that are interested. Hope you learned something from it. Also, just send us your comments. I'm more than happy to kind of answer and keep the conversation going. Yeah, again, thanks for watching, and see you soon.